Hello, my dynamic community. It's your host, Mariana, here to welcome you to the Dynamic Show, where personal development and wellness meets real life. We know there's no one-size-fits-all path. Your unique journey is your greatest gift. Let's uncover the reason you are here and explore what's possible together. So today, our discussion recording is all about exploring the subject of emotion dynamics. I'm being joined by our guest, Makota.
Nice to be here at the end of the year.
Yes, welcome, welcome, welcome. And if you don't know who Makota is, dynamicseries.com, dynamicshow.info. You can go on the websites, connect with us, and you can read all about her story. She's been with us for a long time and will continue to be throughout her life, always having some kind of influence or input on what we are doing. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Emotions, they play a big part in our world. They're not static, they're dynamic, they're ever changing, they're woven into the fabric of our lives, and you see them all the time. When I say emotion dynamics, Makota, what do you initially think of as far as we're going to talk about emotion dynamics today? What would you think?
Well, I would think about maybe talking about all the emotions that you feel throughout the day or throughout the week or your life, and how, just like the word is, that it's very dynamic and it's constantly changing, and the relationship that we have with every emotion changes as we change as a person.
Yes. And emotions has been referred to as energy in motion.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're energy and we're in motion, and so are emotions. So it
Very
just
true.
goes hand in hand. So, yeah, that's a good feedback of your initial thoughts on emotions. And we decided to do emotion dynamics as dynamic itself because, again, it is at the core of a lot of our life. And so that's why we chose this to be like a bonus dynamic. I'd like to set the tone before we start our time together because it's more than just a podcast. We're here to remind you that flowing through each one of us is a dynamic energy that is ours to use every single day. And again, that's why the day in dynamics is capitalized. It is a daily choice to live dynamically. So just take a moment to center ourselves, to be fully present, and to listen with an open heart and mind, since we know that what we focus on expands, and part of being dynamic is constantly changing, being open to new ideas, and always becoming something. You ever think about that in your life? Like you're always becoming something because you can't refrain from being,
Mm.
but you're always becoming something because it's always changing.
Yeah, it's very true. You're constantly evolving as you go out throughout your life.
Yeah. So, okay. So to start, given the title of the show, Emotion Dynamics, I would like if you could, with the audience, have you ever found yourself wondering why, how, or even who might else feel the same way when it comes to emotions, and why or how have you ever been in an emotion and then change that emotion? When you're in an emotion, maybe give an example of how you became conscious of that emotion in the moment and then tried to generally make it better. Audience, I know you will. You'll do that on your own time, but let's listen to what Makota has to say.
Well, I think the most influential examples that I can think of are when I'm a teacher, and that it's very easy to take on the emotions of your students, and then you start to feel those emotions. So if they're not listening, you might get angry or frustrated at them because you feel like something that's a disconnect. And so it's so important during those times to realize that you are their authority figure. You're there to be the model of how to be okay with those emotions, but also how to get out of those emotions. So for these kids, sometimes they haven't seen an adult cry or get frustrated. And it's your job, even though you might feel those emotions, to kind of show them, okay, well, your teacher can cry, your teacher can be upset at something, but how do I, as an adult, get out of those situations to help them get into positive ways of showing those emotions as well, and knowing that I'm able to get out of those emotions and not be frustrated at something that is not worth it, because it is just, at the end of the day, not usually that big of a deal. And it's sometimes just that you're taking on the frustration of the day, or again, the frustration of your kids. And you need to be able to know how to show them to get over that frustration, because then they'll get better at it too, just like you will.
Right. And so basically you're showing them that it's okay to feel an emotion,
Yes. Yes.
but also to be an example to them that you can shift that emotion too.
Yes. Like a good example was last week, we thought that our cat transitioned from this world because he had ran away and he wasn't around and he's older. So we were just kind of having that grief moment. And I told the kids, it's like, if I seem down today, it's because of that. And I did cry a little bit in front of them, not to be dramatic or anything like that, but it just came out of me. And I said, it's okay to cry. And, this is something that you're okay to cry over. And this is a good thing to cry about it. But just know that I can still teach you guys and I can move on from it and be okay. But that's why I might feel down. And for them to understand that emotion, not just think that I'm crying for no reason per se, or that I'm going to let that affect my job, and that they know that it's okay to cry. And sometimes you will cry about even silly things, and that you can move on from it and you can feel better after that cry. And
Mhm.
that's so important for these kids, because they don't see that sometimes. Is they feel a lot of the adults in their life are trying to hide those emotions from them as if it's going to taint them, but it's so important for them to realize that it's just a natural reaction that people have, and it's okay to have it, and it's okay to be able to move on from it and get stronger because of it.
Yeah, that's a good example, and I was part of that, our cat part being, we thought
Yes.
not, because everyone has their life path, including animals too, so our chicken experience,
Yes, a lot of chickens.
we understood I understood a whole lot more about them being here than they're not being here, and it doesn't mean that you can't have the emotions that is necessary to grieve or be go through all those stages of emotions and stuff, and that it's okay.
Yes.
Yeah. That's the thing about emotions sometimes is people don't give the permission.
Mm.
So some good examples about you being a teacher and then about your cat. And I think sometimes too with the teacher thing, it might be that they think they're doing something wrong, and that's why the teacher's not being as nice as she used to be, or
Yes.
they don't understand it. So for you to have that openness and vulnerability to let them know, hey, this is what's happening. And if you have an animal yourself and it went missing and you didn't know if it was still here, that you may have these feelings too. So it's also a teaching moment,
Yes.
for them, and also to again clarify that it's okay to have emotions. What do you do with the emotions? Where do you go from the emotions after that? Do you react or do you respond? Do you go, okay, it's okay that I'm discovering what sadness feels like, but I don't need to be in it for a long time.
Yes.
I just need to be in it for as long as I need to be in it. And then when I'm done, I'll be done.
Yes.
No one can tell you how long you want to be in an emotion for. So,
Yes, it's so important for these kids to know how to get out of it. I have quite a few that stay in an emotion for the whole day because they don't know how to self-regulate at this age right now, or maybe because of the experiences that they've had in their life, they're not sure how to get out of a bad feeling. And so it's so important for them to be able to see how other people do it, and maybe that is the way that works for them.
yeah. Because at this point in time, because a lot of times what we often do as we become more conscious and more mature, we can ask ourselves the questions like, what would I have to believe to have this emotion? What would I have to believe is true
Mm.
for me or true about this situation for me to have this specific emotion around it? Like, is this triggering or is it supportive? Is it loving or is it fearful? Is it passionate or is it jealousy, or, there's all these scales. So let's quickly just go over the scale. So if you haven't gone, emotional scale, Abraham Hicks, you can look it up. I will put the website in the show notes. And so it just goes over a scale of emotions that show the range as to where you sit on the scale regarding what's happening in your life, or what the situation might be, or the event or the experience. And the highest part would be joy, appreciation, empowerment, freedom, love. And then at the bottom of that scale is fear, grief, desperation, despair, powerlessness. And so many different emotions that I haven't counted them all. Yeah.
Quite a
So
few.
so many that you can, but that when you if you can be consciously aware of where you are in this scale, then you can go up the scale. Like, I have this scale printed by my office desk, and I often refer to it when I know I'm like, okay, I'm being frustrated right now. I know above that is pessimism, and then boredom, and then contentment, then hopefulness, and then optimism. Like, you can go up it quite fast, even by your thoughts in that moment, that second, you can go up it. Okay, well, this is what I'm feeling now. Do I want to stay in this? What do I have to believe would be true for me? Why is this triggering? All this stuff. And then keep going up. What do I want now? What would I prefer instead? And to keep going up, right?
Right.
To feel. So, that's just one tool. There's lots of tools that you can use around emotions and the balancing of them, the neutrality of it as well. So, definitions and redefining. So let's just quickly go over the definition. I just looked a couple of them up online. Wikipedia, dictionary.com. Emotions. A complex reaction pattern from which individuals attempt to deal with a personal significant matter or an event.
Wow. Yeah. Sounds about right.
Okay, that's one of them. Dictionary.com. A natural instinct, state of mind deriving from one's circumstances, mood, or relationships to others.
Mm, yeah, that works too.
Okay, and then this is the one that I like the most, because this is more about who I am and what our resources stand for. More on the bigger picture side. A divine language of the soul, revealing inner states.
Mm, yeah, I mean, that really is what it is. It's your soul and all the states that it can be in.
Yeah, your state of being. I heard a saying, and I know I've probably shared it before on one of these podcasts, and it was like, your state of being matters more than the circumstances, the events, the situations, the emotions. Your state of being is such a core thing for you, because who are you and who do you want to be in anything? That could be on any subject matter, but your state of being, because remember we said before,
Right.
we're being, and then we're becoming, and we're always sharing some kind of energy. So it's like your state of being is just like, who do I want to be in this situation? A question I always ask. And yes, in the new year, we're going to be putting together a lot of the things that we say on this, or that people have related to us, that says, oh, I like that question that you said, but I couldn't quite pinpoint it on your podcast again. Can you? So we're gonna do that in the new year for you.
Right.
It might be a blog instead of a podcast, but nonetheless, it'll be there with those questions that you can ask yourself, because sometimes it's the why that you have to do the exploration of.
Right.
Why are you feeling this emotion right now? Like, is it something that you were taught? Is it something that you had in a past experience of? Is it something that serves you to be like that right now? Or is it you're overtired? Is it you're overwhelmed? Or is it that you're like super happy and loving, and it wouldn't matter what's happening, that's just the state of being you want to be in?
Right. Hmm.
Hearing those definitions, what sits the best with you in audience? What definition?
Well, I think they all kind of go together to be the thing that would make me feel the most defined in my emotions is it is a spiritual journey. It is the revealing of the parts of yourself. It is also your state of mind and your reactions to things and the patterns that you see. It's kind of, for me, all three of the ones that we mentioned, and probably even more that we didn't even talk about, because as I mentioned earlier, emotions change throughout your whole life. The way that you see and experience a specific emotion changes so drastically throughout your whole life. And you might be able to connect certain feelings to those emotions that you didn't beforehand
Yeah.
because of the things that you felt. Like the grief that I feel now because I have lost family members and animals and all of these things, it's very different from when I was a kid and the only grief that I probably had was losing a toy or, not being able to eat a certain meal and being upset about that. So the way that we experience and connect with those emotions become deeper and more meaningful as we get older because we have more experiences to relate them to and to go off of. So as we get older, we understand those emotions as a part of ourselves in a way that we wouldn't otherwise when we were younger because we're still learning what those emotions mean.
Yes. And that brings up a really good thing because there's the definitions that we just shared, and that's 3 different places that offered 3 different perspectives. So can you
Right.
imagine if you kept like you said, there's many more, you
Yes.
know? It's not attached to these. And what if we just redefine them for
Mm.
ourselves? Like, what do we redefine? Like, most of the time, you'll find that I'm sharing a definition about a word, and that is to get a starting point. And sometimes we need to redefine when we're trying to figure out how and what in that exploration of us deciding how it fits into our life and what relationship we want to have with a certain word or situation, event, circumstance, whatever it might be. What if we just redefine some of the emotions?
Mm.
Like if I said to you right now, give me the definition of pessimism, give me the definition of passion, give me the definition of doubt or
Mm.
or revenge or eagerness. Like, would you be able to actually define it, what it means to you? Because people use words all the time, but not necessarily really understand. They may have just been told that that's what it meant
Right.
versus have an example of the people in their lives using it or telling them that that's what it meant. And what is your belief around what some of these mean? And is it worth defining and or redefining, especially if it doesn't feel good, right?
Yes, and especially with the feeling part, like you just said, feeling an emotion and the way that me and you might feel joy could be completely different, or the way that we feel love or the way that we feel boredom could be completely different based off of our experiences or how we want to incorporate that emotion into our lives. And so that even goes even further. If you can't describe it and you can't show someone else how it feels or make them feel the way that you feel about that emotion, it's always completely unique on how you experience that emotion. You might be able to relate to a general idea of joy, but the way that I feel joy because of my experience, there's a way that I represent or show joy might be completely different from someone else. And that's hard to show someone else or have them fully understand because it's not them, they haven't been you.
Yeah. And the best thing too for that, which you bring up a great point in this discussion, is that it's being respectful for other people's perceptions. It doesn't mean
Mhm.
you always have to agree with the way they're defining something or redefining it for them or what their emotions might be at any time for any reason. Because again, with everyone having their own life path, we don't know what they're dealing with
Right.
within themselves. So, just being able to be respectful for other people's versions of what something means to them at the moment, and again, not reacting, but responding and supporting each other. So we had to talk a little bit before we started this, and then I was like, "Oh, enough of talking. We have to get this on recording." So I said, "What if someone says something to you like, 'Makota, I don't think you're teaching right.'" And what was your response to me?
Well, I said, "Well, how would you know that I teach? Because you never watched me teach. You wouldn't know that I'm bad."
Bad, good, or indifferent.
Yes.
Yeah. And that it's your opinion
Yeah, it's that
and subjective.
it's
Yeah.
very subjective, and it's her opinion based off of what she thinks a teacher needs to be. And again, the way that she sees a teacher could be vastly different from someone else. So saying that someone's bad at something is just because you think that they could do better from what you think is the normal, I guess, response of that thing.
Or yes, or you're not doing the way they do it, so
Yeah.
then it's wrong.
Exactly, especially with things like
Yeah.
teaching, so it's so important that if you think that something or someone is doing something bad, that you take that time to realize, okay, go back to the definition of those emotions and what is making you believe that about that person, or what is making you believe that about that situation that you would want to use that word to describe it. Bad could be, oh, do they not show up to school on time? Do they take off too many days? Are they being mean to the students, or what is the reason that they are bad? And
Right.
can you describe that in a way that actually makes sense to you, or are you just using that because you don't actually know how you feel about it?
Right. And like we always say, if we have nothing good to say, then don't say anything. Go to them with supportiveness in the
Right.
emotion of love or empowerment and going, is there something bothering you? Can I help you along the way? Because for someone to get to that point where they have to put someone else down is they're not in their power at
No,
all.
yes. And being able to make suggestions. It's like if she
Yeah.
thinks I'm a bad teacher, well, then what can I do? And if that actually would help me or not.
Right. Because again, it's still someone else's opinion.
Yes. Right.
Again, thank you for that. Back to the emotional scale. We have it on our blogs because it explains a little bit more about that. Now, moving forward to Dynatool. So, audience, are you still with us? Are you understanding more about emotions and how important that they are? Because that's the question. How important do you think? Sometimes I know what my audience is going to ask, and they're going to say, "Well, why is emotions important?" So, how would you answer that, Makota? Why are your emotions important? I
Mm.
mean, given the definition, given everything we've talked about already.
Wow, it's a big question for sure. I would say that emotions are important because they make a person a person. It's kind of on the same vein as your personality. The way that you are and how you interact with the world around you is based solely on your experiences, and that comes from your personality, and that makes your personality. It comes from your emotions, it comes from the experiences that you've become. So without emotion, you go through life like
Neutral,
neutral,
almost, yeah.
like a zombie, like you don't feel nothing. You have nothing. And even nothing is technically an emotion. So even saying that you're bored or that you're not feeling anything, that is still technically an emotion. But you imagine living your life and not being able to experience the highs and the lows of it, and that makes you a stronger and a better person. So it's so important to talk about emotions, and it's so important to be okay with the emotions that you experience. I know that a lot of people, I'm sure they're listening, might have certain emotions that they don't like to show other people, like especially the sad ones or the angry ones they don't want to show people or to experience them at all. But it is so important to have a relationship with every emotion so that you know when you're in that emotion how to get out of it and what it feels like, so that
Yes.
hopefully you can help other people and help yourself to just understand it.
Yeah, and again, be who you wanna be all the time,
Yeah.
but by being say, "Oh, yeah, I'm exploring doubt right now," instead of go, "I'm just a doubtful person."
Yes.
You can change anything to be more self-empowered too. So, you could be influenced by personal history when it comes to emotions, your environment, your current circumstances, your different relationships, whether it's with people or animals, or whether it's just your relationship in your mind that you have with different things. Like, there's a lot of things that can influence your emotions.
Yeah.
S Now, when we take this moment to reflect on the show about living a dynamic life around the subject of emotions, what resources can we use? Dynatool, so that's dynamics and tools together to help with the balancing of your emotions. I will start with being more conscious in the moment
Mm.
of the emotions that you're feeling in any given time. give yourself the self-care and the permission
Mm.
to have them, but then go, how long do I want to stay in this? Is it serving me? All that. So what about for you? What would be a tool to help with the balance of the dynamics of the emotions?
I definitely think coming from the mindset of that every emotion that you experience is like you need practice in it, if that makes sense. Kind of going back to the point that I made earlier, if you don't experience certain emotions, when you do have them, especially or later in life, you don't know what to do with them. I've seen many people that haven't cried in years. And so when they cry, it is this visceral, angry experience where if you have cried throughout your life that it is just another cry and you know how to control, you know what it feels like, you know how to make it feel better afterwards. And so
Mhm.
my Dyna tool would be that experience emotions on purpose. Experience doubt and worry and blame and passion and enthusiasm so that you know what they feel like and you get practice in them. Just like anything, the more you experience something, the more you do something, you get better at it,
Yeah.
and practice makes perfect. So when you get into a situation where you can cry, you know, okay, I'm crying now. I don't need to make it this huge thing where I'm going to throw things and I'm going to get upset at people. I can just cry and be over with it and then move on and experience that emotion and know what it feels like to be in that state of mind and be okay with that.
Mhm.
So practice makes perfect with emotions.
Yeah, that's a good point too. And just along that point, probably the last Dyna tool we'll go over, because we're getting close to our 30 minutes, is asking yourself some of these questions like, do emotions exist because of the way I'm defining them? And or am I believing I have to be a certain way around certain things and have certain emotions around certain things? And then what do I have to believe to have this emotion that is true for me that would trigger the feeling that goes with it, your thoughts and your ideas and that feeling that comes. So there's some questions that you can ask that we'll put in the show notes as well.
Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. Audience listeners, how you feeling about emotions? I know it's a huge subject that we narrowed down to just the top, and we'll get deeper again in 2026. So we challenge you to take action, share the episode with someone who needs it, or explore any of our past recordings to keep the conversation alive. Because your dynamic journey doesn't stop here. There's just so much more waiting for you. So we invite you to follow, subscribe, share, support, shift, dynamicseries.com or dynamicsshow.info to dive more into our resources. And to keep in mind, our materials are shared on the show are copyrighted and meant for informational purposes only. Makota, any last minute thoughts on emotions, or do you think you've covered most of what you wanted to share about it?
I think it's pretty clear. Again, practice makes perfect, guys, and keep trying. That's the best thing you can do is keep trying on your emotions until you get it right and it feels good for you. Thank you for
And
having me.
yeah, of course. And we're always respectful to your time, and it makes me joyful. That's one of my emotions to have you do these podcasts with us. So I'm very thankful, grateful, and feel very blessed to have this condensed time, your voice on these podcasts that will live on forever. The mummy daughter time.
Yes.
All right. So thank you again for being on the show with us and tuning into the Dynamic Show. Align with your dynamic well being every day and make it a dynamic day.
Make it a dynamic day.
Thanks for joining us. Bye for now.